Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a Sunday's Talking Town, a Sunday after the day before, and what a day before it was, a last minute, literally last kick of the game winner from Jack Taylor. And of course, we can't do these shows without you, so please do get active in our live chat. I can see so many comments already coming into the show. Watching on catch up, FGA, comment for that algorithm, and everybody with a live or on catch up, hit the like and of course subscribe. Norman says, yesterday we saw a team with excellent leadership and culture, be it a team with poor leadership and culture. Gary O'Neill, of course, has been sacked this morning. Then witnessed them losing the losing man deliver a deluded, in Norman's words, press conference. I've had quite a bit on what Gary O'Neill had to say yesterday. Let us know your thoughts and feelings on it. The performances of the players, what stood out, what didn't stand out. Obviously, Newcastle up next. Delap has received a booking I've seen across numerous places now, so I guess that's confirmed, although that was a grey area for a long time. Did he? Didn't he? Has he? Hasn't he? But I think he has, so he'll be missing Newcastle. What are you thinking and feeling about that? Phil says, good afternoon, everyone. Brilliant last-minute winner from Taylor. He leapt like a salmon. First salmon mention of the year. Gotta love it. There wasn't any time left to sing "You're Getting Sacked in the Morning," which would have been fairly accurate, to be fair. Don't forget, we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. You can support the life-saving, crucial work of the East Anglian Air Ambulance by playing their weekly East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. Such a mouthful name. The easy way to play is online. Sign up now for just £1 a ticket for a chance to win one of 18 prizes, weekly prizes, ranging from £50 to £1,000. Players must be aged 18 or over. Please be gamble aware. And we're going to go across Twitter as well. So if you're over there, do give it a retweet, etc. But I'm joined once again by the man, the myth, the legend. I have to say that it's in his contract. Matthew Phillips, welcome in, Matt. How you doing?
Good. I'm happy that I was midweek after the Bournemouth game. Let me tell you that.
I can imagine you probably are.
Yeah.
Yes, you probably are. Everyone is, I think.
I liked your line yesterday. Give me oxygen.
I needed oxygen so badly. I celebrated like I'd won the East Anglian Air Ambulance Weekly Lottery. And I sat here and I was like...
It was great to finally get one of those goals ourselves, having had 3 against us. I know we scored one at Southampton, didn't we? But to had one last week against Bournemouth and lose the game, having been 1 up, as I said earlier in the week, gut churner. So it was brilliant. And great to see Taylor score. So he's now gone non-league to Premier League, all 5 divisions.
Yeah.
As a goal scorer. Phenomenal.
There's only 11 players that have done that. And 4 of them are in our current town squad.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'd be so Chaplin, Morsey,
Smodic.
Taylor. Wes is on the periphery, isn't he? If he scores, he'll be another one.
Came close yesterday. Forced a good save out of the Wolves goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a good shot. It was just a fantastic win. I mean, look, was it a great performance? I mean, we said it was like a championship game, didn't we, when we were chatting? But it doesn't really matter if it was a great performance or not when you're down in the bottom 3 against the relegation threatened rival. All that matters is the 3 points, and the first goal was comedy. But like you say, the delivery from Jack Park onto Taylor's head, brilliant. What a turn of pace Taylor's got in a celebration. It was like he's an Olympic hurdler over that ad board.
If you watch his celebration, you will get a flavour of what my celebration was just on my own. It literally like that. I ran around the house. Well, it didn't run.
Somersaulted over the sofa.
Yeah.
I
mean, Freddie at Stowmarket Osteopaths is good, Matt, but he's not that good to get
he's not a miracle worker, is he?
As Hamish says, adrenaline does that. And he does. It's 5, apparently, when Wes scores. Says Colin.
Oh, it's 5 when Wes scores. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
He hasn't scored yet, but he's going to come. It's coming close. It's coming close. But it's a great afternoon. It's great to be on the end of giving the sucker punch, not receiving the sucker punch.
Yeah.
Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah.
I want to start with Delap. First of all, his performance. Well, no, his performance, but also the yellow card. Isn't it? Has he? Hasn't he? Because even people on our chat right now still don't know. And I'm of the opinion
trying to find out.
Did get a yellow.
Sources. I'm trying to find out whether or not a off-field yellow, which is what it is, because the game is finished, will count towards the 5 yellows and thus bring a suspension. Not sure at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't think the club know either, because they've certainly not confirmed it on the website, have they? And they've not updated the Premier League website that says players who are now suspended.
So let me just read you what is on TWT's match report from Phil Ham. Al Nouri later emerged with showing he had a second yellow card and then a red in the tunnel, while Delap was handed a 5th booking of the season, which will see him miss next weekend's game against Newcastle.
He feels that it confirmed then. I mean, look, he's been on 4 for ages. And look, we were discussing whether or not he needed a rest in the week. I would have sat him down for the game yesterday. But obviously, Smodics was ill, so that took that question out. But you might see the Smodics in the 9 next week against Newcastle if that's the case.
Yeah.
Bit of a gutter that it's happened in an incident that was avoidable after the final whistle, but
we don't know what went on, and it was mad scenes at the end. I didn't see them till afterwards because I was preparing for the show.
I've lost all respect for Wolves. Do you know what I mean? Old school club, fantastic stadium, Molineux. They've done brilliantly. They've done League One to Premier League like us, but in less than a week, they've kicked off at West Ham. That Lamina, so he gets his captaincy stripped from him by O'Neill. Yeah. Then they did it yesterday. Yeah. And that Nuri could have been sent off in the game anyway because he gave a little slap around the chops to Burrs, didn't he? So he should have got a yellow for that. Then seconds later, he concedes a free kick on the halfway line. Then he kicks off full time. And then that Mateus Cunha elbows one of our staff as a glasses wearer. This is a disgrace. Takes his glasses off him.
Yeah.
FA got to throw the book at them. Throw the book at them.
It shows the emotion and the pressure they're under, though, doesn't it? You know, it shows what's obviously really going on inside the dressing room, because if it's manifesting outside of the dressing room, you know, you can only imagine what the scenes, you know, are like inside in terms of the crosswords, etc. And it's resulted in the manager losing his job. There's 3 points now behind us. Obviously, Crystal Palace play Brighton at 2 p.m. So we'll try and be off the air before that. But in terms of, you know, Delap, you would have sat him down midweek, and I was vehemently disagreeing and saying you can't do that. And I was proved right, because for that first goal, he's as at Brighton, where he's made, and this is where Neil sort of lost it for me a little bit, because he said, you know, they will never score a goal like that again. You know, he doesn't do that every week. Well, he did it at Brighton, where he's muscled himself into a shooting opportunity and rattled the bar. Yesterday rather, he created the chance, and then it was what a Benny Hill moments where you could put the Benny Hill soundtrack over that pinball in the box, and it wouldn't
look
out
what he mentioned. That's what he meant. I think they wouldn't score a goal like that again. I mean, it was incredibly lucky, but there's nothing wrong with being lucky in life.
No. We were lucky, innit?
Yeah, we'll take that all day long. But yes, I mean, that's the difference, isn't it, between Delap and another Town player playing in that role, is the physicality that he brings to brush whoever it was, that Wolves defender, to the byline and then bring the ball in. I mean, Amari should have scored that, really. I mean, he drops the shoulder, doesn't he? Goes around Johnson, gets blocked on the line, and then Chaplin has the second bite of the cherry. And then, like you say, it cannons off one of the defenders, off Doherty, and into the net. So it was a very lucky goal. But I mean, like I say, we'll take it all day. I mean, people have been saying we've been unlucky this season, for various reasons, but we'll take that. Brilliant. Gave ourselves a foothold in the game, didn't it? Rather than being one down.
Well, this is it. Yeah, very fortuitous goal, but you take those all day long, but it's fortuitous because you've created the chance yourself. You know, Delap has out-muscled the centre half well and truly, got to the byline, cut it back. Amari tapping, cuts back inside, blocked on the line, falls to Chaplin, who does really well there, by the way, because it looks easy, but you've seen so many players take a touch and then, you know, balloon that into the back end of the stand, you know, because he's still.
Exactly, the ball is still live. You've got to hit the target because the ball is still live. Like you say, you could put it the other side of the post and it goes out for a goal kick or whatever. But yeah, hit the target because you don't know where the ball's going to go. And as we see, it's straight back into another Wolves player, dog team, into the net. So yeah, brilliant. We really needed that, didn't we? And I think it shows. I think you know, certainly after the Bournemouth result, and it just showed. Like I said to you, how many times I said in the week, how many times can Ipswich just keep going to the well to pick themselves back up again? It's very difficult in the games that you think about where we've been 1-up in and then we've dropped points and haven't got the 3 points, and then to go into a relegation 6-pointer, as everyone was calling it, and to take the lead like that. I thought it was great, really good. Really, it says volumes about the mindset and the culture that McKenna has created. Now, whether or not that's going to be enough, that level of performance against Newcastle and the like that follows, it's Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, then on to Fulham.
Bring them on. Who knows? Bring them on. Bring them on. You never know
the only downer is that it feels like we've just lost a little bit of momentum. That had we won that Bournemouth game, then you go into Wolves and say that it's the same result. Then you've won your last two. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we lost an opportunity for back-to-back wins. I think it's going to be very difficult against Newcastle, although let's not rule it out. They conceded 4 at Brentford last week, so although they scored 4 themselves yesterday. So it's going to be an open game a little bit next week. But then they went to the City Ground and beat Forest, didn't they? So they're also handy away from home as well. So, but look, we've got a bit of momentum behind us now. It's been few and far between, isn't it? It's only our second win since we beat Huddersfield back in May.
I generally don't think, particularly this year, being the team that's newly promoted, running the uphill battle to try and survive, you're not going to get many moments of momentum in what you're describing. You had a good opportunity, of course, on paper, but football's not played on paper. If it was, Town perhaps wouldn't be in the Premier League because people would have put the squads next to each other last year and not really put you in the top two. But or certainly Wednesday wouldn't have, in the League One, fallen away like they did, etc. But it's not, and you're gonna have to try and pick up the wins where you can, like we did yesterday. You got Newcastle up next, missing a key player, Delap. It's adversity, and I know it's spoken about at Portman Road, a bit, running towards adversity, etc. But it is going to be that type of season where you're going to have to generate your own momentum, pick yourself up when you're on the floor, as the fan base and the club have been after those back-to-back games, because good opportunity missed.
If you see some of the Wolves pods, by the way, when I'm saying Wolves are a disgrace, I'm not linking their fans to that in any way.
It's too late. We clipped up now, mate. It's too late.
Yeah, it's gone. Then everyone to a man has said how fantastic the Town away support was, the loudest they've heard at Molineux all season, which just goes to show how great how great our club's doing, and that transfers off the pitch, doesn't it, into the away support. I spoke to Crunch last night. He said it's very difficult to get a song going, he said, on that away end, or away side, should I call it, at Molineux, because you're all at the lower tier in one big line, aren't you? But you could hear him on the TV. It was brilliant.
It was really good, and Delap, back to his performance, just outstanding again. Obviously, tires towards the end, but he does that because he puts everything into every moment and he corrects the goal.
He made a good point to you yesterday, didn't he, Leandro? I mean, it is the fact that he's not scored since Tottenham. So what's that now? 5 games. The fact that he's just controlling himself a little bit different with energy levels. I thought that was a really great point Leandro made yesterday. There could be there's a lot of common sense in that, I think. Yeah.
You say he's not, not scoring. Obviously, it's right, but he had
an impact.
He's impacting every single moment of the game. That's the style of player he is. But he had he would have had a great opportunity yesterday. Had the final ball just been so much better from Wes Burns. Where's it from? I watched it back this morning. I just sort of said out loud to myself, "Where's you got to slide that across the box? You slide that across the box. The lap's tucking it." Yeah, the thing is, it's not even a ball for his head. It's aimed at that level where you don't know what to do as a player. You get caught in two minds because do you go to head it or do you go to kick it? And in the end, you can't do what Delap did. Well, yeah, you would have done. That would have been perfect, for yourself. But you're caught in that double-minded, like he was, where you kind of do nothing. You end up sort of hitting the top of your thigh because you're caught in two minds. And had that ball just been a little bit better. Well,
I think it was a good ball.
Was it? No, it wasn't. It was neither head height or on the floor.
Height was the issue, wasn't it? But I suppose if you put it, I suppose if he was thinking, if he'd put that in over there near the grass, it could easily just been kicked out for the corner.
True. Which, by the way, up until the 93rd minute was our corners. They were doing. I was doing my nut.
Davis's delivery was abysmal yesterday. Even Gary Birtles on Peacock. I was going, what are they doing? Because we know Wolves are susceptible to set pieces, as we see right in the 94th minute. Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes wonder whether or not that is why Leaf isn't quite in the equation for an England call-up, because all these stats suggest that he is. But you've got to do everything really, really well to be an international, haven't you? And maybe that is just letting him down slightly. I don't know.
What, taking a corner? I think that's a stretch too far.
Just as an attacking threat and getting the ball into the box, I suppose, at key moments. But he's done it. We know he's weak. He's weak at that, and we didn't exploit it at all until the 94th minute, really.
Well, no, because most of the crosses put in the box they weren't crosses; they were short corners, to the man nearest the corner taker. And I was like, just stick it in the mixer, just stick it in the mixer, see what happens, see if they can defend it. As it turns out, they can't. The defender closest to Jack Taylor is marking space, and that's why I don't like zonal, Matt. Because in the end, all you end up doing as a defender is marking space, and space can't score. That is it. Space. You've never seen a score line where it says space 32 minutes as a goal scorer. Yeah,
you're blocking runs, aren't you, with zonal marking? I mean, that's effectively what it is. But yeah, I do agree. But of course, at the end of the game, it's Leaf's cross actually that it's the Wolves player that goes out for the corner. I mean, what a delivery from Jack Clark. I mean, that was his best moment in a Town shirt. And you see when it goes in, you see him doing like a double little fist bump when it goes in. I mean, maybe that, he's not got a goal yet, but maybe it's that kind of moment that will hopefully give him momentum going into 3 massive games between now and the new year,
McSauceman said Delap not mentioned suspended on the official Premier League website.
No, I saw
this morning. Fingers crossed. Then let's hope he isn't. I just know what I've read, obviously, from various different sites, including Phil Ham's TWTD. So we'll see what happens there. But Trevor says the booking had to come sooner or later, and he needs a rest. So Trevor's taking the other end of the view, if you like. Ted and Arnie says Town and the dirty 11 at this time. They need to play hard. Needs to disrupt and put away their chances. I wouldn't say we're dirty. Would you say we're dirty, Matt? I wouldn't say we're dirty. I say we're physical. We're rising to the challenge.
We've got a bit more streetwise, I think, in recent seasons, haven't we? We see we used to bemoan, didn't we? Opposition going down and killing the ball and killing time and getting the physio on. We seem to be much better at managing the game like that. There's always a chaplain goes down to me in midfield around about the 25th minute mark or something along those lines. And certainly Delap gives you a little bit more of a streetwise bully, doesn't he, up front? Like, when he confronted that United player down at the corner flag in front of the away fans at Pullman Road. I mean, we've missed that, really. So that's what's great about him, really. And at 21 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about Chaplin, this is a player that's been spoken about on different podcasts, but on this platform particularly. Is he going to be good enough for the Premier League? Some thought he wouldn't be, some thought he was. And I thought yesterday he was excellent again. And he's been excellent in his appearances when he's made them. Got
the pass. It's his pass to Burns. He sort of turns 360, doesn't it? Palms out to Burns, which is the cross for Delap, which comes off his knee. That was an immense pass. Fantastic pass. Premier League quality.
That's understanding, isn't it? That comes from seasons of playing together, understanding where your teammate's going to be and what type of ball he needs in behind the fullback. To go onto it. And that's the level of understanding they've built up. And I just thought Connor offers so much energy in that number 10 role. You see him, chasing, you see him back in his own half, chasing, closing down. He's good on the ball. Has he got perhaps, the next step quality that if you stay in the division and you want to progress? That question mark needs to be answered, and he will answer that with his playing time. But for right now, for what we need as a system and as a club and where we are, he's offering so much in that number 10 role that perhaps, and it allows Amari to go to the right, or as yesterday, to the left.
Left, wasn't he, yesterday?
Isolate a fullback one-on-one and just sort of take the fullback any way Amari wants to take him, because he can take either side, down to the byline, cut inside. But I just thought Connor was excellent yesterday, Matt. I really, really was impressed with how he played.
Brilliant to see, isn't it? When you consider that he plays the Liverpool game and then goes missing for a fair number of games, doesn't he? And we said, how can Connor Chaplin be out of sight, out of mind, having been our top scorer previous 2 seasons? But, we've got all these new players, new and shiny. And sometimes you forget what's in front of your face, don't you? And he's come back into the side at Brentford, and I think he only got into that game, didn't he, through illness, I think it was. And he's done brilliantly since. I mean, look, if you don't have that shot yesterday, it doesn't cannon into 2 Wolves players and don't go in, and we don't go 1-0 up. So, I mean, all the credit to him. Yeah.
And one thing you can always say about Connor is he's technically really good. His touch is normally really good. His passing range is good. Could we've seen it, in that 10 role in the Championship level where he's received the ball by the byline and switched it to the other side. You saw it yesterday with Wes. Just technically a really good player that needs opportunities, and he's starting to really shine in that role. And Amari moved to the left. Then he moved to the right. I thought he was another, he slowed. There was criticism yesterday of Amari that he slowed it down too much.
Well, Birtles said this as well, didn't he? Yeah, Birtles said this. Well, I agreed with him, actually. I don't often agree with Gary Birtles, old school commentator, but yeah, I did agree with that. Yeah, there were moments when he shows a real burst of pace and beats a Wolves player and gets into a good position. And then suddenly we found ourselves going backwards, or he's put his foot on the ball and he kind of killed the momentum a little bit. Maybe he just felt he didn't have the options to keep the attack flowing, to keep the attack moving. Yeah, I could see why he thought that yesterday. Yeah, I do. I do agree with that to some degree. But like you say, he was playing all over the shop. I mean, it's not often the McKenna really likes the 2 behind Delap to be inverted, doesn't he? So you got Amari right-footed on the right side, but coming in with his left foot, and Smodics on the other side, coming in with his right foot. So obviously that was a little change yesterday. Did it work? Don't know. Not sure, to be honest with you. I mean, I probably, before the game had started, we'd probably have had Amari on the right and Broadhead on the left, to be honest with you. I mean, Broadhead's not even featured since the cameo against Palace, where he came on and did quite well in difficult circumstances. So that's a bit strange, but...
Well, I proposed to you during the game, didn't I? Does that show sort of the hierarchy of the players behind the lap?
Yeah, you did
Does
say
that
this.
show you that,
Yeah.
you've got Sammy, Connor, Amari, Wes is like the top four, and providing 3 of those 4 are fit, that's how he's gonna
Yeah.
deploy them, and he'll move
Mm.
players around and sort of play Amari on the left, where he's played before, but he's not played predominantly on the left, over a more left-sided player like Jack Clark, Nathan Broadhead. Does that show that for you? Because I was really
Yeah.
interested to see that, he went with Amari left, Wes right, as opposed to say Amari right, a Clark or a Broadhead left. That did surprise me.
Yeah. I think that little list you made up was about right, I suppose. I mean, look, Broadhead starts the season injured, so I don't know. We don't know what kind of fitness levels he's got really. But again, he's like Chaplin at the moment at the start of the season, out of mind a little bit. But he's not featuring from the bench. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going on Broadhead's performances historically for Town. At one point he was undroppable, wasn't he? Around that time of the Sheffield Wednesday free kick or the goal he scores against Southampton before Sarmiento gets the winner. You think back to them performances, you feel like this is someone who should be in the starting 11, but for whatever reason, McKenna chooses other options at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Schwanitz was ill, I believe, yesterday. So
yeah, he was, wasn't he?
He wasn't within the squad. We'll
see him back next week if Delap's out.
Definitely do. Let's talk about the equaliser then. Obviously, went to 1-1. Muric beating his near post. Some question marks from some people about that. I've seen it back this morning. I'm going to defend Muric. I believe it's a deflection, and the pace of the ball is he's not stopping that. Even if he's got his angles right, as I think was it Bertel said on the commentary. You were telling me. His angle's obviously wrong. He can't beat his near post. But I think that deflection it's unkind to any goalkeeper, and I'm here to defend him. But how did you see it?
Yeah, well, I was blaming him. I don't like keepers getting beaten at the near post. But look, I was critical of Muric in the week, and I think rightly so. Justified criticism, given the decision making he made that cost us the game, will certainly cost us points against Bournemouth. He played very well yesterday, I thought. He looked solid. He was confident in coming for the crosses or coming for a ball on a corner. Yeah, you don't want someone who's 6'6", whatever he is, getting beaten at the near post. But maybe there is a slight deflection of Clark. I mean, he hits it well, that Mateus Cunha. He does hit it well. I mean, if you watch Alex Griffin's video, there's actually a really good angle of it, pictured angle of it.
Okay, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I feel like Muric should save that, really, given that he's not me in goal, is it? I mean, someone of his size, but he does hit it nicely. I was disappointed. I mean, and certainly on Sky, they said it was Chris Boyd, I think, who was covering our game. He said he was like, Muric should be doing better there. But, take that out. Just take that out. Just take that out, negativity out of the frame a little bit. He had a good game yesterday, I thought. I'm not here just to beat Muric with a stick all the time. I'll give him praise when he plays well. And I thought he did play well yesterday, just a little bit. But then there's the context, isn't it? If the game finishes 1-1, would we be back on the Muric train again? Should Walton be coming in? Should he be getting beaten at the near post? But the context changes with the 94th minute winner. But Muric done well yesterday, so we'll give him all the credit.
Yeah, I said on yesterday's match reaction show, I always feel like when I'm discussing Muric, it's always I thought Muric played well up until that point. It always feels like that's a sentence that I have to say. And I thought he did play really well. And I'm going to defend him on the goal. I think the pace of the ball is too much for any goalkeeper to save it near post, far post, or any post. But what I really liked yesterday from Muric was his command of area. He really commanded that box. Every ball that was coming in was his. And if he couldn't get there for a catch, he was punching it clear, punching it out of safety, not just back into danger, but into safety. And I was defenders love that when a goalkeeper's that commanding of any box.
That's what we want, though, isn't it? I mean, look, no one's got issues with Muric when he puts in that kind of level of performance. That's what you want from a keeper that's cost. I thought he cost 8 million. I mean, was he 15 million? Have I been quoting this wrong? Someone said it to me in a week.
I thought it was 9.
Yeah, I thought he was as well. But I mean, regardless, someone who's cost multi-millions, that's the kind and he's now our Premier League keeper. That's the level of performance you want. I've got no issue with Muric if he's putting in them performances week in, week out. It's when he just comes up with these kind of rush of bloods to the head and comes racing out of the box in which he never ever wins the ball. And it costs you the game. And there's no chance to get back in it right at the end of the match. But if he puts in performances like he did yesterday, no issues. But that's it, isn't it? Consistency is the key with him, and that's what he hasn't had so far, which is why we have this debate.
You mentioned Delap's age, 21. Well, I was surprised to find Muric is 26, because obviously earlier in the week, I don't know if you saw the headline on, I think it was CWTD, it was something like McKenna said Muric is an extremely talented goalkeeper, but he's young and settling into the club. And I thought, I immediately thought, yeah, I agree with that. He must be what, 22, 23, 26. I didn't realize he was.
I didn't know he was 26. Is that correct?
26.
Is it?
Is that class as young now? Am I that
I
old
mean,
at 35?
well,
That 26 class as young.
Keepers do have longer careers, don't they?
Yeah. Peter Shilton plays what? He's 41?
Yeah, he's 26. 22? Yeah, he's 26. Slicker's 22. Christian Morton's only 29. He was older than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're finding out our keepers' ages. Look.
You could play a game, couldn't you? Guess the age, because I'm surprised. 29, surprised you're 26. I thought but when he spoke about when I saw that headline, I was surprised. I thought it was more Slicker's age, or just above, And I was thinking, he's a young, talented goalkeeper. I agree with that.
Same age as Wolfenden, a little bit younger than Twanzebe. So there you go. Yeah, so he should be a little bit more probably seasoned in his career. 27, says he.
Really? I'd have had him at 29. See?
Guess the age. Yeah.
Feels like he's been around for a long time, does old Axel.
Yeah. Are you thinking that McKenna is like just cutting Muric a little bit too much slack then?
No, I was just surprised that Young was mentioned at 26, but that's probably more because I'm 35.
Kieran's paid big money for a keeper. He's always going to kind of defend him, which is probably why he played him yesterday rather than all the noise around Walton. But as we quite rightly said, really, I did. I don't know if you agreed with me. I don't think Walton's the answer either, particularly. So, I mean, there you go. But he played well. But, you're only as good as you always say. Look, you can only really judge people on their last game. And Muric was solid yesterday. Could have done better at the near post, but regardless, he was for most of the game. He did well and made some good saves in difficult conditions, and one that blooped a little bit, wasn't there? The side foot shot that kid had to the right post, and he spilt it, but had the mind to get it. Yeah, he done good. If he puts them performances in every week, no one's going to have an issue with Muric, are they? No,
but you're right. The context of the game, if it finishes 1-1, the conversation obviously then starts a little bit more in terms of that goal. But I defend him. Sean says, "Was a pleasure going to Wolves yesterday. Like Forest, it's a nice club of passion and history. Another ground kicked off. Hamish get the feeling that Broadhead is in the final weeks of his town career. I can see us sending him to a side like Sheffield United or Middlesbrough in January. He'll want game time. I think. How
does Hamish know that?
Hamish is just he's borrowed the Richard Chandler crystal ball.
Yeah. Clearly,
he's looking in.
Maybe he might be right.
He's reading the tea leaves.
Yeah, he's not the first person to have mentioned that. But maybe. We'll but I mean, are they looking to juggle the squad slightly and move people out to bring these bodies in for January?
What would you? Honest question now, and we're deviating. See what we do here. How much would you value Broadhead at, like in terms of a transfer fee? Be honest.
What are you buying for? $1.5 million?
Forget what we bought him for. He's Premier League player now. Well, 30 seconds.
Do you know what? That's a really difficult question. I don't know. I really don't know.
I wonder if it's a Letty Lath plus Broadhead and money situation brewing.
Oh, right, you're fighting this one now. Now this I'm interested in because I like Letty Lath. He scored yesterday.
I was wondering that's a deal that's maybe brewing on Ashton's WhatsApp messages. I don't know.
Sofa score of him down at 4.1 million.
And what did we bid for Lath towards back end of what, 9?
The room, no, it was more than that. Room was one of my borough mates reckoned it was between 15 and 20.
So 10 million plus Broadhead might get him in, right? I'm not saying that's what I do. I'm just throwing it out there as a player who is a good player on the periphery.
Yeah, bargaining chip. Yeah, can see it. Like I say, Letty Love scored yesterday, though. So is he going to swap Championship punting playoff side to relegation battle in the Premier League? But I don't know.
Let me think about this for a moment, Matthew. Would I rather play in the Championship and possibly get promoted, or would I rather play in a Premier League side and possibly stay in the Premier League and prove myself at the top level? I'm not quite sure what that would be, Matthew. Come on, Matt. We're talking about League One days, are we? Will he drop down and can we sell him the vision? The vision's been delivered. It's now about keeping us in the Premier League. He'll back himself. He'll back himself. Like any player would.
Well, Tux believed that Latte Left would probably stay at Borough. So there we go. That's interesting. Two sides of the argument there. I hope he comes because I like Latte Left. I thought he was really good when he played against us. And, I've seen, he's not featured that much really since we put that bid in for him, which makes you wonder whether or not something could happen. But he certainly gives you all the energy that you want in as a runner, which was probably what would be lacking, when Delap goes off. And look, Al Hamady did all right yesterday, didn't he? I love cheering him on. Because he's almost like he's a good player. He's proved himself in League Two. Certainly not Premier League level, really. So he feels like he's on borrowed time. Do you see what I mean? It's like a bonus that he's there at the moment, not on loan at Wigan.
It's also a good story, isn't it? It's also a really feel-good story. Player that started League Two this time last year. now in the Premier League, you know, making his way in the game, growing and developing. Can he come in and, you know, and when he does really well, it's one of those, you know, it's a real feel good. This is a player we've picked up from League Two and we're developing, and we're seeing it develop in front of our very eyes.
Iraqi Scouser.
Yeah, and if he scores, he'll become the first. Am I right in saying that? Iraqi, player to score in the Premier League. You know, so it's just a feel good, and I want to see him do so well because he comes across as a genuinely nice guy. Like,
he does.
Somebody you can take...
He was right with Taylor, wasn't he? Over the ad boards. I loved it. I loved it if he'd scored that goal yesterday. We've always said, didn't we? The breakout moment for Al Hamidi as a cult hero would be a big moment like that. Like, I don't know, he scored the winner against Man United or yesterday or whatever. But it was Taylor that did it. But he was right there front and centre celebrating. It was brilliant to see. And I'm sure he's loving being part of the Premier League journey at the moment. But really, he should be Championship or League One like Humphreys, really. But I mean, did he score yesterday, Humphreys?
I'm not sure, but I just think fans particularly love development of players, and when you bring a player in from League Two and you develop him, and you see him getting better off the bench yesterday was his best performance off the bench. I thought he was really good. We've lamented
this, haven't we? The bench hasn't been good enough, but Al Hamidi comes on, does what you want, causes a little bit of havoc, and then it's Clark to Taylor. For the winning goal. So the bench actually had the impact.
What he did for the goal either, Matt. You can't underestimate it because he impedes that goalkeeper long enough, but not too long.
Yeah.
So he does his job as the man, because that job that Kevin Nolan job, because Kevin Nolan was famous for being in front of the goalkeeper, then scoring goals.
Kevin Nolan, yeah.
But his job is purely stand your ground, make it difficult for the goalkeeper to react accordingly, but don't overdo it. Don't touch him because obviously it's a foul more times than not. And if you're offside, obviously you can't impede for too long. Otherwise, the VAR will get involved and it rules off. So he does it perfectly. We saw it last week with Delap, actually, the goal where it was ruled off. You know, where he sort of impedes it a little bit too long. But yesterday, so you can't underestimate that. He does his job perfectly in that set piece. Mark Hudson, finally, I'll give you a round of applause for that set piece. Finally,
we were sacking him halfway through the game.
I sacked him at 3:05, 3:30, 4:45, 25 past 4, 4:35. Get him out of Christmas bonus. Give him a bonus now.
Yeah, there you go. Roller coaster ride. Were you worried that they would give it offside when they were doing the goal check?
Anytime you see VAR check against Ipswich, you think,
yeah, it's not our friend. What do we need to do to get a penalty in this division? I just don't. I just don't get it.
Well, yeah, because Leaf. I was about to say go down in the box, but Leif Davis, as Gary Birtle said, if that's if that referee
anywhere else on the pitch, free kick.
Yeah, and there was a foul in the first half where the commentator says that's a clear shove in the back of West Burn. Oh, but it's not given. When a neutral commentator says that out loud as part of their commentary, you know there's a foul, and there's like. I didn't like the ref yesterday. I didn't like him.
No, as soon as you saw Simon Hooper, innit? As soon as we saw him, you were like, "Oh God, not this guy." Yeah.
Oh, well, in some more stronger terms, but yes, it was something along that line.
What went through my mind though was when Man City scored that last-minute header from a corner. I think it was at Molineux earlier in the season. John Stones' header, and they checked for exactly the same thing. The City player in front of, I think it was Bernardo, maybe might have that wrong, in front of the keeper. And it was given. I was thinking, oh, look, we're down this route again, but thank God they gave it. Brilliant. No time to kick off, really, was there? Perfect. Perfect timing of the goal.
It was, but I was also spitting feathers at Jack Clark taking as long as he took. I was thinking, put the ball down, Jack. Get the ball in the box, Jack. Jack, get the ball in the box. He's setting himself. He's putting the ball down. I'm thinking, this ball might go, the ball goes into the box, referee blows the whistle. Moment it's back in play, I was thinking, Jack, you're taking too long here, Jack. You got an emergency, Jack. That is a great ball. He proved me wrong. He set himself well, and what a great ball.
I think any ball into the box is decent if the defence isn't going to challenge for it, and they just let Taylor rise like a salmon, as Phil Blundell said earlier, to score it.
Yeah,
but
we've got Phil joining us shortly and Colin.
You got to be okay, brilliant. Let's get him in. But I mean, look, it was a perfect delivery. Don't put a good delivery, and you ain't going to score the goal, are you? So I mean, fair play to Jack, and hopefully that can be a catalyst for his town career now, because it has been a little bit like Calvin Phillips, below par, given the expectation that he had when he came in. Big fee, done well at Sunderland. Hopefully he can push on now. We want to see these players doing well, don't we? If the players are doing well, be it Muric in goal, Clark or whatever, we're going to climb the table. And that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
Joe said, can I listen today, lads? Someone stole my glasses last night.
Mateus Cunha. Doing the rounds.
Hope you find them, Joe. Mac, I think there are a fair few comments in after the game watching on TV about values. I'm surprised by like Amari costing 22 million, for example. Yeah, worth every penny. Worth every penny and a lot more come this time.
Oh, we had to pay that to get him in. Everyone wanted him in at the end of last season, didn't they? And he got linked to Stuttgart, who are in the Champions League, and we still managed to get him. So, you know, as much as I can be critical around McKenna and Ashton on various things, they done brilliantly to get him in. I mean,
Yeah,
but who wouldn't want to be a part of the McKenna story? Even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there yesterday. His kid supports Town. Did you see that?
Do you like Amari's song that we've got for him? Because that's the one thing I don't like about surrounding Amari. I want to dance with Amari. I want to dance with Amari from Chelsea. It's the Chelsea bit I don't like.
Oh yeah, why is that? Well, who's put that in there? No.
He was from Arsenal originally. If you're mentioning old clubs, right? He started his playing days at Arsenal. Yes. Then it was Chelsea. Yeah. So you're mentioning old clubs. He's from Arsenal originally. Like,
yeah, I need to have a little rethink on the lyrics there. I think on the words.
Like if they sing it, my mum next to me, and she's obviously near approaching 80, she goes, "Why do they say Chelsea every time?" I don't like it. It's like, let it go, mum. Let it go.
I thought that through, have they?
Well, no, when he was on loan, it worked. But now he's our player. We need a better. But I'm not a lyric. I'm not a musician by any
songs can change though. At least what was it? Wolfie at the back, Chaplin in attack, isn't it now? Was the depot
a rare centre half yesterday, Wolfie?
Yeah.
We've got Humphreys for Hamish within the town squad as the 10 next season. Michael, it's vital to keep the likes of Broadhead at the club because if Ipswich get relegated, the newest signings will look to leave, whereas the players who helped Ipswich promoted twice will stay. That's a fair point, but equally, you've got to bear in mind these are human beings, right? And they're going to have emotions and desires and goals. And one of which, I believe, for a player like Nathan Broadhead, Matt, will be to play games.
Oh, yeah. That's my dad always used to say. You're a fan, Matt. He said, you're going to be blue and white till the day you die. He said, these will come and go. I mean, it's just a job to them. We forget this sometimes. I mean, some players are more embedded in the culture, like a Connor Chaplin, for example, doing work with the foundation, being an ambassador for various things, and that's brilliant. But yeah, it's a job to them at the end of the day. And Broadhead will go to further Nathan Broadhead's career. And his agent will be telling him that and be looking on the lookout. It'd be interesting. Let's watch the space on that one. It'd be interesting whether or not he could be used as a makeweight in a deal that brings someone in. But certainly players are going to have to go out, aren't they, to bring people in?
I'll take any credit for the deal if it involves Broadhead as someone who planted the idea. Obviously Ashton was there yesterday, but Ed Sheeran was sat next to him as well, which was shown plenty of times. Adi says, I was walking down the stairs when Town scored the winner and nearly fell down the stairs. I nearly needed Freddie at Stowmarket Osteopaths. Adi, give Freddie a call. 01449 613 633. Don't live life in pain, people. Give Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths. Tell him the Gov has sent you. And he'll hopefully sort you out.
Adi at home, or was he walking down the stairs more than you?
Because he goes to the ticket yesterday, I think. I don't know quite sure. But
you're not watching the game in injury time compared to watch. Must have been it.
I was praying, please, Lord, let us score. And then when it came in, that was it.
It worked.
That was it. The emotion took over, the adrenaline kicked in. And
you might recall in the week I said we'd lose 2-0, and you said if we win the game, I've got to predict that we lose every week now. The reverse psychology, isn't it? I predict we lose, we win the match.
Do you reckon it works for the lottery? If I show you my lottery ticket and you say you're not going to win, do you reckon I might be sat on a beach this time next week playing what to do in the show?
Possibly. If you do win the lottery and you are on the beach this time next week, am I going as well? I need a passport for one thing. So that rules me out. They don't turn it around in a week, do they? Got to pay
you sound like the cashier when I buy the ticket. I remember me. I said, yeah, we'll do from a beach. Don't worry. 154 million quid. I ain't got a pay to spare. Sorry.
It's interesting that someone in the comments there said, would Humphreys be back in the squad next season? Because obviously the starting lineup was 6. Good, Chandler said this, didn't they? They said it wrong on TV. They said 5, but Rich had it right. It was 6, wasn't it? Had played in League One. Maybe that's why we had the feel of a championship game with Wolves yesterday, maybe. But I mean, that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant to go from that level to the Premier League. And to get that result that we did yesterday with 6 players that were playing, I don't know, Forest Green Rovers or whatever. Back in the old heady days.
Again, it's part of that wonderful story and word I'm coming to hate journey, part of the journey. Because it's overused, that word journey. It's like
I'm sure if Town stay up and Wickham obviously are top of League One at the moment, aren't they? Just holding off Birmingham and go to the Championship. I'm sure they would like to sign Humphreys on a permanent, and maybe that would be a good deal for him. As much as I like Humphreys and think he's got Matt Holland-esque style personality and could be a Town captain in the future, is he going to nudge out? I don't know, like a Hooster or whoever it might, or Jack Taylor or whatever. I mean, he'd be below them in the pecking order, wouldn't he? Regardless of talent level.
Oh, Jens Kajus is our best midfielder by. Oh, absolutely love him. Yeah,
Surely
he's one of the biggest reasons why I stand in the Premier League.
Worst case scenario, we get, because we know there's a deal in place, isn't there? We stay up, he signs automatically. Surely we could still, given the parachute payment money, we could still buy him for the Championship.
But we had this conversation on the Match Reaction show yesterday, and I put forward to you, and I put forward to you.
There'd be other players, other clubs.
But Brentford were heavily interested in him. He's playing in the Premier League, showing but he's showing he can play in the Premier League. There's going to be a number of teams if you go down that are going to be alerted to him as a player. He's too good for the Championship, and there'll be many teams that think about he could add their midfield options on a deal that's what early teens of the tens of millions, like 10 to 15 million. I think that deal was lined up to be. But he's just a great midfield player. Gets better. And I said yesterday, it could end in a Sixto Peralta situation where you fall madly in love with the player.
Sixto, do you remember him? Yeah.
But you're never going to see him again after this year.
I hope
because I can't see him playing the Championship. I could be wrong. Players have dropped down levels to play for Ipswich before. Maybe he does it here, but he's a good player.
Maybe you fancy going back to Napoli. They're second in the Italian division at the moment, so they're having a good season. Humphrey's got an assist yesterday. He got an assist yesterday, so he's obviously loving life there. But yeah, I mean, Cahustay's looking. He was brilliant yesterday. There's no way Phillips is getting back in the side at the moment. It'd have to be for Morsey if he was to come back in. You can't lose the Cahustay energy. Brilliant.
Yeah, but the rising tide rises all boats. Because if you've got Kajus playing well and you've got Morsey playing well, that's going to drive on Jack Taylor. Massimo Luongo, obviously, still around the football club, and of course Calvin Phillips, because they want to play football the same way Nathan Broadhead wants to play football. Everyone wants to be like Jack Taylor had his moment yesterday. He wants more of those. He's a young player. Those are the moments on Match of the Day, etc. You want the moments. Calvin Phillips wants to resurrect to his career. So if you've got two players playing well, that's gonna, it's not easy. It's not handed to any player. This is your shirt and it's yours. So you're gonna have to really perform, and that's going to drive them on to be better and do that, and that's only good for our football club.
Agreed. I don't think it's good for our football club to have Phillips on the bench on the weekly wages, aren't they? As I said in the week, I would feel like there's a break there, but he's not going to get in the Man City side, is he? But could you just get someone better not better, but someone who could have more of an impact, really? I suppose.
It feels, and we're going to bring in Phil in a second. I'm sorry, guys, but it just feels to me like you're settling now as the season unfolds. You're settling in a Morsey or Phillips, Kajus or Taylor. That's the dynamic. Yeah. And I could be wrong. Next week you could play Morsey and Phillips. That's the way McKenna can spring something on you. But it just feels to me like if Morsey goes down suspended or injured, it would be Phillips coming in. If Kajus can't play like last week, it was Taylor coming in, and that's how he views the balance of his four.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's funny how things change, isn't it? Because like I said before, Euro 2020/21, if you'd said Calvin Phillips would be playing for Town in 3 years' time, you'd go, oh my God, this is amazing. But, the context of his career has changed slightly, hasn't it? Which is why he's at us in the first place.
And I also think it's a little bit of the journey thinking coming in. Like it's a player on our bench has got like, let's just pluck a number out of the air, 70 grand a week wage. Well, you're a Premier League football team. And what? Like, if you're going to progress, you're going to have eventually a squad full of players that are on fairly big money that aren't getting game time. But that's not a bad thing to have a good player in your squad not playing. It means your players are playing well. He can't get in the team, but he's still a very good player. And I would, if you said to me, fast forward 7 days, Phillips is playing next week midfield, I wouldn't hesitate to think, oh, that's a big drop off. He's a quality player. The player's still in there, and we've seen glimpses of it. It's not a bad thing to have good players on the bench. we're ruining it last 2 weeks. We haven't got enough of them. So,
I do get that. I mean, I'm sure he's a great influence around the training ground and everything. I mean, as we've said numerous times before, he's supposedly a really good guy. So I would imagine having him in the building, the experience that he's got from international tournaments is priceless for McKenna. Certainly when you're coaching along, playing on and training alongside a Jack Taylor, for example, someone who's still rising through the ranks. Yeah, I do agree with you.
But don't forget, this is a player that many fans didn't think was good enough for Premier League by the way, Jack Taylor. You know, hadn't played many times in the Championship.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not going to be good enough in the Premier League. You know, we need someone better than. And now he's Roy the Rovers.
You need to have moments, don't you? This is the thing. You need to have moments for fans to suddenly change their minds. You know, Muric has had moments for the wrong reasons. He's made mistakes. But you know, you get Chaplin scores that goal against Bournemouth. Suddenly, everyone's back on the Chaplin train.
Having said he's not good enough for the Premier League.
Yeah. Ditto Taylor scores the winning goal yesterday. Now he's flavour of the week. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be having moments. I'm sure if Calvin Phillips came into the side, scores a 30-yard screamer to beat Newcastle. Brilliant, worth the money. He starts next week, etc.
If VAR does its job against Leicester, you're talking about how good he was against Leicester, because I thought that was Phillips' best
game. Well in that game. I agree.
Right up until that red card situation, but that doesn't happen if the ball is blown dead for a penalty that should have happened. You know.
Yeah.
That's what football is, as you like to say, Matthew Phillips. It's a sliding door.
It really is. Yeah.
You know, and there's a moment. But he played against Brentford, Phillips, with
Kayus. That game. Very good.
And again, had we done what we needed to do that game, having been 2-0 up, you'd be saying, he played well against Brentford, played against Leicester. You know, he's got a series of games individually where if he puts them all together, you see the Calvin Phillips of old. So I've got no problems with him not getting in the team, because it just means Kayus and Morty are playing well.
I think the frustrations for everything comes, like you mentioned those games there where we've taken the lead and ended up getting nothing. We're not that far away, are we, from actually almost sitting in mid-table if you count out all the leads we've had and lost them. And it just feels like the frustration for me comes that if we were to get relegated, it would have been such a missed opportunity, given the momentum of League One to Championship to Premier League, you know, freight train rise through the divisions to get to a place of McKenna where Chevron agrees is going to manage at the highest of levels, go on to be a Champions League manager. Only to fall away. Do you know what I mean? It would feel like a huge missed opportunity, which is where my own frustration comes from, because that's when individual errors start marking the card a little bit. Oh, if only he hadn't done that, we'd have won so-and-so. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, so that's the frustration for me, but luckily we got away with it. I mean, it wasn't the greatest of performances yesterday, but it was enough to beat Wolves, wasn't it?
We're going to have to be better to be, moving forward to get 3 points against better opposition. Absolutely no doubt about it. There was times there yesterday where it was wave after wave. But you mentioned mid-table. It's funny that, because if we had got some results we perhaps should have done, we'd be closer to Phil Blundell's European dream. And Phil, welcome into the show. How you doing? First of all, how was the trip up to Wolves?
Absolutely buzzing from yesterday. Wonderful trip to Wolves and back. I think I've only been there 4 times as a Town fan. I think this is the second time I've seen them win. I think the 2 of the times, I think with the narrow defeats, like 2-1 or something. But no, yesterday, look, just briefly talking about, the previous 2 or 3 games that we've played in the last week or so. Look, the Bournemouth game was very difficult to take. For 87 minutes, we were on top. We were the better team. I think this season so far, for the first 15, 16 games, we've been very unlucky in some of the results that we've had. Leicester probably being the top one, criminally denied a win against Leicester. Should be sitting on. I think I did a mini calculation yesterday on the way back from Wolves, and I think by now, with the decisions that have gone against us and the luck we've had with refereeing decisions and VAR and whatnot, we should be sitting on about 16 points by now.
But we're not, because we're
not. Two points criminally denied us against Leicester.
Yeah, true.
I'm talking about individual mistakes. These are individual mistakes. Individual mistake against Brentford, an extra point. You could argue that that's 3 points. That's we're sitting on 15, and
so we'd be where Everton are at the moment, Phil. If that, based on that.
And forgetting the individual mistake that we made against Bournemouth in the last week or so.
We do make individual errors, which is why we're sitting first.
So I would say we could be on 15, 16 points by now, and 3 point, an extra 3 points. In the bottom 4 or 5 of the Premier League is pretty big. It's pretty big because teams, I'm saying where we are, wins, can be fairly scarce and far between. So look, 3 or 4 points extra, in my opinion. Do I think we've got enough to stay in the Premier League right now? I think the business that we will do in January, I think we certainly will have enough to stay in the league.
I hope so.
It's interesting you mentioned Luongo. I think he's in the last 6 months of his contract, isn't he? So
is
I
it
guess
a 1 year extension he signed?
Is it an extra year? I thought it was just 6 more months.
It could be. It could be. I'll have to look it up.
Do I think that we will move players on in January? I don't think so. I think that we'll probably just end up adding probably 1 or 2 players. Certainly for Benny, and we needed that second number 9 that we missed out on the last day of the August window.
June 25, Longo. June 25. It says he's contracted till end of June.
Oh, it's
25 to the summer.
So that is 6
so 6 months. So 6 months. I was right. So I guess the club could pay him off, or put him out on loan. And
so you freed up a spot in it. Is that what you're trying to do here, Phil? Free up a spot?
Yes, yeah. So look, I mean, I don't know how much money we have left to spend in January, but I would like to see us. I would love maybe more than 2 players coming in, because when you start about 3 or 4 players, okay, yes, it might change the dynamics of the way that we play, because certain players like that. If we're gonna get another number 9 like Delap, or a big number 9 that has that finishing ability like Delap has, who's got a bit of speed and pace about him, then it's going to add something different to our attacking dimension. And I think
everyone's talking Ferguson on the Discord today, Phil. Evan Ferguson.
I'm saying, look, I think it's Tony Bloom has said that he's not going anywhere in January. He's certainly not being loaned out. And I would take his word for it. Because he's the main man at Brighton. He's the one that's kind of overseen, all those big money transfers that they've made over the last few seasons. So I'll take his word for it. Unfortunately, Ferguson.
He started a couple of games this season, Ferguson. I mean, he was like last season. He was like 6 goals, I think. 6 goals he got last season. So he was doing well there last year. But it seems to injury probably has dropped him down the pecking order there a little bit.
Yeah, look, I would say, in case talking about Brody as well, could he be moved on? I doubt it. I mean, really, we just, what we're missing is that extra number 9 badly, and I think that we'll pick up. I think our games to points ratio, from January will pick up. And okay, yes, we have played 2 or 3. The teams around us at home. So those games are now gone by the wayside.
January's difficult though, Phil. Fulham away.
It can be.
Right.
Look, if Everton can go to Arsenal and get a result, we can. Yeah. Look, we went to Brighton. Yeah. We went to Brighton and kept a clean sheet, which was big. That was and nearly nicked it towards the end. By the way, Delap was very unlucky not to score himself yesterday. That I think that cross from Burns off the knee. I think if he just stooped down and headed it like a Sheringham-esque header, we would have scored more.
Probably, I'm not sure that was on. I haven't seen the replay a few times, Martin, on Peacock. That didn't seem on, did it? To stoop for the header.
But his knee was quite high, so he could have stooped down a little bit and just not.
This is what I was saying earlier, Phil. Just call it what it is. It's a bad ball.
Yeah,
really, a key moment. Let's be honest.
Going on
to a header or a tap in.
Going on to talk about the post-match scuffle, I didn't see Delap getting booked. And on the way back from the game, I was with 2 or 3 other people in the car. And we stopped off at Cambridge Services on the way back. This must have been about nearly 9 o'clock in the evening. And we bumped into Brenner Woolley and McNeil's. And Brenner, it was Brenner who said, I just called him out because, I've never met Brenner in person. Always listened to him on the radio, but bumped into him, had a quick 2 or 3 minute chat with him. And the first thing, top man. First thing he said was, one of the stewards confirmed to me that Delap was shown another yellow card by the referee, who yesterday I thought had a very good game.
Oh, don't get Martin started on this, Phil. What are you doing?
I think.
What game were you watching, Phil? Really?
No, he had a very good game, in my opinion. I mean, say when the referee is
that's
largely
we won, Phil. If we'd not won,
it's not.
Screaming at me.
No, it's not. Look, when the referee's largely unseen in the game, that means he's having a good game. And for me, he was largely unseen in the game for me. And I think for me, probably the biggest criticism I had of him yesterday is that he should have probably sent out Nori off during the game time rather than after the game, because just looking back at the highlights and the commentary, Ain't Nori, he was out of order.
Yeah.
You know, I would say he was really having a go at Burns. He's really winding him up on that far side. Burns, I would say he still hasn't got back to his best since that hamstring injury that he had early in the season. For me, you know, there was 2 or 3 times where he had the ball in the final third, and he was easily dispossessed by that Wolves defender, which annoyed me a little bit because, yes, he does a job for us. Yes, you know, he's more effective in the final third, but he needs to improve upon his ball control, ball possession for me, which, you know, he's a good player. No, there's no question about that. But he just needs to improve that a little bit more. If he had a little bit more,
he needs a moment, Phil, as we said earlier. He needs a moment, like the goal against Coventry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, I would say he had a very good chance himself with that shot on target that forced the Wolves keeper into a very smart save, and that was going in because I was sat right behind it. It was like the Coventry goal that he scored last season, but not quite so far out. But you know, off the outside of his foot, that would have been an absolute beauty if it had gone in. Yeah,
and I agree with some of what you're saying. I agree with what Richard Charney said yesterday. I thought Wes had one of his better games yesterday. You know, in a Premier League shirt for Ipswich. It's just that final pass. You know, that's just it's those final things. But we split hairs. That's what we do as fans. And of course, he has to get better at that final ball because that is an assist just waiting to happen for him. And he'll probably be watching it back, kicking himself. But Phil, have you got one last thing for me before I bring in Mr. Plum, who was also there at the moment yesterday?
Phil, I've got one last thing for you as well. Don't wear that top against Newcastle next week, will you?
Brilliant, awesome. Look, I'm saying there's 2 quick things. Look, I'm happy that McKenna's back Muric because he had a decent display yesterday.
He did,
and it was a bit unfortunate. Maybe he should stop that effort by Kuna that he scored. But just briefly about next week. I want to just briefly mention about what McKenna could do next week. I'm going to say, would he go for a back 5 like we did against Spurs? That worked very well, especially against Son on the left, you know, on the right hand side with Axel and Johnson. Is he going to go 2 up top with, I don't know, say Smodics and Al Hamadi, for example, and put, you know, with Clark on the left and Amari on the right and Chappers behind? You know, is he going to pack the midfield? I think. Look, we can't wait for January, and the speculation is for me is that I'm starting to get a little bit excited about what players we're linked with because we are in need of another number 9 for sure. And this is going to be a test. I'd rather have Delap suspended for the Newcastle game rather than either the Arsenal or Chelsea game for me personally. This could be a blessing in disguise. It could be where the fact that he's given a bit of a rest. Okay, Morsey, he's played a lot of games. He could do with a bit of a rest. So, you know, Kayust and Phillips, for me, when I went to the Brentford game, they played very well together. And Kayust is improving all the time. So, you know, we won a lot of second balls yesterday in the first half. We practically won every second ball in the first half yesterday, which was awesome to see. And it wasn't until Wolves scored their equalising goal that they really kicked into gear. And they could have had a second or third goal easily.
Yeah.
That chance that Strand Larsen had just went past the post.
I'd be looking at, you know, is there any movement on him? You know, he's a good player, very good player. Wolves are obviously
Strand Larsen.
I don't think Borough's going to sell Latilat right now because they are on the cusp of the playoffs and they're doing well. Okay, yes, they've had
money
one
talks
or two.
still. Money talks.
They'd have to have time to get a replacement in, didn't they? When they lost, was it Akpom who went to Ajax? They struggled to get someone in. That's how they got Latte Laf originally. We didn't give him enough time to get a replacement, did we?
No, he comes back. Phil, appreciate you coming on. All your comments. Look after yourself. It's great to hear and see you as always. Thanks for popping on. I'm still interested in Ian Idis, Matt. That's who I'm still interested in.
He's scored a goal now, hasn't he? Scored a penalty.
Yeah,
he's off the mark.
You don't bid 24 million euros.
I obviously saw something they liked about him, didn't they?
You know, and then be turned off after a few months of, you know, not getting the goals that you perhaps should be getting or whatever. I've not seen him play, so I can't say that for sure. But
Roger started playing now. He come on against Wolves in the 4-0 win, got about 7 minutes, and he got about half hour yesterday.
But do do you feel that the Broja saga and what followed with Lath, etc., was all just a knock-on effect of them not getting the deal over the line for Ionides? Because you don't slap down 24 million euros with no, with no
wage without having seen his attributes and what he could bring to the table. Yeah, very true.
So,
there ain't gonna be that many takers for him. He's only got 1 goal all season. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, it's gonna be interesting. But they seem to turn down huge bids from a lot of clubs, didn't they? In Greece, so I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. And I feel it's quite exciting, really, to see new bodies come in. We've seen the last 2 seasons, haven't we, with Broadhead and Hurst come in, and then Al Hamidi and Kiefer last season. Yeah. So interesting to see what happens. I'm excited by it.
Yeah, I'm still interested in that. Still interested in him, and maybe
we've got. We ain't in the bargain bin anymore, are we? We've got a bit of money to put on the table, so that's exciting as well, I think. But I mean, like as you always rightly say, you've got to pay a tax on players in January, isn't it? It's now going to cost you 5 million more because you desperately need him, and we don't need to sell.
Yeah. Didn't Burnley bring in Weghorst in the year they got relegated in January, and then
he went back to Holland, didn't he? He would have been a good signing for us, I think.
He's at Ajax at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, ain't going to leave Ajax to come to town. But I mean, he would when he was at Burnley, that was a potential, similar to more in height, possibly even taller than Big Kiefer. I mean, we've said this over and over again. I would have got Kiefer and he'd been perfect off the bench. But he scores for Sheffield United yesterday in their win, and he's scoring goals and playing games there. His game time would have been limited behind Delap, I guess, in the twilight of his career when he wanted to be seeing his career out playing 90 minutes, I guess.
I wasn't necessarily sort of advocating for Weghorst, but where I was going with the point was that obviously Burnley brought him in for, signed him in January for money in the year they got relegated. So it obviously didn't turn a player like Weghorst off that he was joining a relegated side. There was still a deal to be done there. He's joined. He then was loaned out to, I think, to Sistas and other teams upon relegation. But
Man United, didn't he? When he at Man United, didn't Burnley loan him to Man United?
Yes, they did. Yeah, it was
weird.
That's first, then United, and then I think it was spelling Germany or Belgium after that, but it didn't turn him off. So maybe people are thinking, but if you're in the relegation zone, you're not really going to struggle to sign anybody on a permanent. Isn't necessarily true. We've seen it in that situation there, and probably others as well. But it just means you pay a bit more, I guess. Or assurities that if you are relegated, that you will not stop a move away.
I would imagine anyone who's coming in, there'll be a deal in place right now. They ain't going to start. You don't start negotiations on January the 1st, do you? That's when you want them to be coming in. So I'm sure Ashton's working hard behind the scenes to get it all ready to go. We need people to hit the ground. Did
you not get the memo? All chief executive phones are blocked until January the 1st. They don't work. They don't work. They don't work. They have to turn them off between the window closing in the summer and the window opening in January. That's it. They're blocked.
There was a thing on the overlap where Stuart Pearce was on, and he was saying Ferguson wanted to sign Pearce for Manchester United, and Clough would never take his calls, so they just parked up at the City ground and saw him after training one day, and floated the idea. I love that. Waiting in a car, Fergie. Yeah,
I can imagine that. I can actually imagine that. I can hear that conversation happening.
Yeah,
picture it.
Yeah,
probably a young man being said a few times.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, what a character he was. Just great manager. Right, we'll bring Colin in. Colin, welcome in, my friend. How you doing? What's your thoughts?
Hi up.
Hello, mate. How are you? Hello, Matt. All right?
All right,
good. How are you? After yesterday?
Yeah, I'm as happy as Larry today, mate. Happy as Larry. And funnily enough, I went and done a little bit with Alex yesterday.
Saw that.
And
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it.
You're optimistic, weren't you, Colin?
And he said to me, "Where have you been?" And I said, "What do you mean, where have I been?" I said, "I'm always about." And do you know what? It was funny. It was about, I don't know, probably about 1:15 or something like that. And I felt really good. I felt really bouncy, as they say. And I forecast my mum score 2-1. Unfortunately, I hold my hands up. I didn't put it on yesterday, which I'm really bloody jarred off about. So I got 10-1. Got 10-1 last week. Obviously, it didn't come up last week, but I got 10-1 on it last week. So I think that had probably been 12-14-1 yesterday, being that it was away from home, But so that came up. But going on to the game yesterday, I've got to say, Gov and Matt, having seen the stuff on because obviously it was right over the far side, you know, from where he was. Having seen it on the TV, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 times now, I thought that was absolutely disgraceful. Those scenes, what were going on, I thought, look, I'm going to say it as I feel, as I see it. I thought it was absolutely shocking. And I think what that Cunha did to that member of staff, I really hope upon hope, and Matt might know a little bit more about this than most of us. I really hope that they come down on him hard.
I imagine they will.
That guy was standing there. I don't know the guy. Like most of us know most of the people who are about. I saw Marcus Nash around there.
Yeah.
And most of us know most of the people who are in and around. But that guy, I didn't know from Adam, that member of our staff. He seemed quite just standing there doing his little job, very, very much, just standing there minding his own business. And then this guy comes across and so-called like elbowed him and then like Matt said, like Matt said quite rightly, I wear glasses obviously. And somebody comes along and whips my glasses off. Not that anybody ever has, thank goodness. I'd be absolutely furious.
Yeah.
And I was thinking today, I did say to my Andrew, I'm wondering how many games he'll actually get when this is really thought about and looked at, because look, I would have thought in normal circumstances, if you just got like a yellow after the whistle kind of thing, you might, or sorry, the red, like the other lad did.
I'd still sign
probably
it.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. But
He's a good player.
He is a good player, but I thought what he did was shocking, Gav.
Agreed. No, agreed. Completely agreed. Lost his head totally. Lost his head.
Yeah, and I personally think he might be looking at 5 or 6 games for this.
I agree.
And I think it would be justified, Gav and Matt.
Great.
It was disgraceful. And I'll tell you what, we know what Mark is like. Mark is very much, for everybody within the club, and like, I've got your back, so to speak. And it'll be interesting when the club actually come out with a statement about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's going to come out.
Possibly.
Well, I don't know, Matt, Gav, but
it speaks to a wider problem, doesn't it, within the Wolves, seemingly the Wolves setup, because you've had back-to-back weeks now where you've had 2 players, seemingly
less than a week, back-to-back match days, less than a week,
their emotions, which speaks to a bigger issue, doesn't it, Colin? In terms of that's probably another reason why O'Neill perhaps has been sacked this morning, because the culture within the dressing room is, it can't be that healthy, surely.
No, absolutely. And also, Martin, we haven't even spoken about the other guy. I mean, he was being manhandled by Dawson and several other people. Yeah. Actually, 2 or 3 people at one time. It actually made me think of like when a prisoner is being restrained, and we've seen it obviously on his documentaries. When like a prisoner's being restrained by about 2 or 3 prison officers. I mean, the bloke, the other guy, the one who got the red card, he was absolutely going mental, wasn't he? He completely lost that. And I'll tell you what, I personally think, and I mean, a lot of people might laugh at what I'm going to say. I've got a funny feeling. I think that Gary O'Neill, when all the dust is completely settled in the week, 2 weeks time, he might with a capital M, he might be just glad he's out of there.
Yeah,
because is it worth it health wise and everything else? And the writing was on the wall last night when he was basically chucking them all under the bus, wasn't he?
trying to defend his own position, wasn't he? That's what he was
Well,
trying.
he was, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's forget all about that. I mean, not that it should be forgotten about, because it was absolutely atrocious.
Who was your man of the match, Colin? Who was your man? I mean, Burgess for me again.
My man again, Cameron Burgess. Look, they did. My wife bought The Sun yesterday, and they did. I read it when I got home, and they did a middle page spread of Cameron yesterday. It was really 2 pages, middle page spread, all about Cameron, and they had him in a bush, a bush tucker trial hat, and that it was had him down as Crocodile Dundee because he's Australian. But no, you laugh, Gov. But I'll tell you what, he's getting attention now, and
it's pretty good performances.
I'd like to know your thoughts, you two. Out of all the defenders in the Premier League right now, say you was picking your best teams right the way, or best back fours right the way through the Premier League. So you'd be looking at about, say, 4 times 20. So you'd be looking at about 70 or 80 defenders. Where would Cameron be in that kind of ratio? I would say at the moment, how he's playing at the moment, he would probably be in the top half.
I'd say. I mean, he's always going to be below the teams that are at the top of the table, isn't he? Because he's performing well in a relegation-threatened team, Colin. But he can only be as good as he can be within that scenario, within a 90 minutes against whoever the opposition is, and playing with the players around him. He's done fantastically well, because I was pro Greaves, but he's done brilliant last 2 games. His best performances for Town, I think he's been phenomenal.
Well, so am I, Matt. Absolutely, I'm very much pro Greaves. I said on here, I think the lad will eventually play for England. I'm not gonna detract from that. But I'll tell you what I have said to several people just lately. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know. Kieran's got a great chance, if you like, to trial this against Bristol Rovers, I would have thought. Why doesn't he, against Bristol Rovers, trial a back 3? See how it go.
Try
3 is the nice guy. Because I'll tell you what, them 3, I think, I don't think it's a thing that will probably happen this season, maybe in the Premier League. But, he's got a little chance. And also, another thing, getting onto the Bristol Rovers game, I'd like to congratulate the club. I did actually say it to a friend of mine the other day. I said, I wonder whether they'd drop the prices, and they've gone £10 adults, £5 seniors, £3 children. And I think that's marvellous. And not only will that attract more Ipswich supporters on the day, obviously, that will attract more people, I would imagine, that come from Bristol. So I'd arguably say there'll be a decent crowd for that game now. Very, very good, that.
Costs you more to park your car now at Pullman Road than it is to see the match, Colin. For that one.
It really does. It really does. Colin, appreciate you coming on the show. You've got some great points as always. You look after yourself.
Also, just one last thing, please, Gavin.
Go for it.
And it is something that I was actually going to bring up today. With us playing Bristol Rovers, the Gas, and we've got great history. We're playing Bristol Rovers, the FA Cup, as we know. Played them several times, the FA Cup, and obviously the greatest, one of the greatest years in the history of the club was Bristol Rovers were involved when we played in all the snow down in Eastville. But the one thing I wanted to say is, obviously, it's given the club a great opportunity, and I'm hoping maybe they might do something as regards Marcus, the great Marcus Stewart, and we can call it the Marcus Stewart FA Cup tie.
Good luck. Good that.
Great player for the club, and let's just hope and pray he's fitting well enough, and the club make him a VIP for the day, and he come along with his dear wife, and
Yeah, well said, Colin.
Well said, Colin. Colin, you
stuff.
look after yourself, all right? All the best, my man.
All right.
Well
See you
said,
later, Colin.
Right,
All the
last
best.
thing, Mark.
That was
All
your
the
last
best.
thing.
No, all
Colin,
the best,
come on.
Marcus. If ever you watch this, all the best, Marcus, from all of us, and we're with you all the way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
brilliant.
100%.
Well said, Colin.
Colin,
Brilliant.
appreciate it. Look after yourself, all right? All the best. And made some great points there. Nice message towards the end. And obviously echo those thoughts. And
Great idea. It's a great idea.
It is. And regarding the Burgess conversation, do you know who he reminds me of? Damien
Go on.
Delaney. Because no, listen to what I'm going to say.
No, I get that.
When Damien Delaney left Ipswich Town Football Club, if you had said to me he'd play in the Premier League for as many games as he did, I'd have said you were silly.
He started. I think when we signed him, I thought he was an absolute donkey. I used to call him Damien Donkey. And I think by the end of that season, I voted for him for Player of the Year. That's his trajectory for me. He was abysmal when he signed for us, I thought.
But I never would have had him down as a Premier League player. And he played so many games for Crystal Palace in the Premier League. And Burgess in the summer, many people would have said, great player at the level we just come from, but he's not a Premier League defender. He ain't going to cut the mustard in the Premier League. He's not going to make the Premier League. And he's not just, set the grade. He's raised the bar in terms of centre half play.
Has been really good. I mean, the last 2 games, I think he's just been brilliant. I thought against Bournemouth, I think that was one of the best, his best display ever in a blue shirt by a considerable margin. And yesterday, I mean, he was keeping tight to that Strand Larson, gets that blocking, doesn't he? When he has that toe poked from about 6-7 yards out. I can't see Greaves getting back in at the moment.
No.
I mean, he'll get an opportunity against Bristol Rovers, most likely, Greaves. That is a huge shift in momentum change, isn't it? From where we were a few weeks back.
But again, very good place to be. Just like your midfield options we were talking about earlier in the show. If you can't get a £15 million centre half, who many said, we had Joe on from Hull, he'll play for England one day.
Yeah,
it means you're in a good place.
That,
It means you're in a good place. It's when you've got players and you think, oh, who can we play that's going to be any good in that position? That's when you're in a bad place. And we've got a strong spine forming now. Morsey and Kayust, Burgess and O'Shea. Muric keeps developing. Hopefully, he can join part of that strong spine.
Got to be like he was yesterday. It's got to be like he was yesterday, Muric, to continue. Yeah.
Agreed.
Big game
right,
next week, Big game next week.
And we are back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. for our match preview. I'm not going to try and do it this week. This man's going to try and sit down with a Newcastle fan. He didn't know this, by the way. This is literally dropping on him.
This is news to me, everybody.
He can do it. He can meet the position this week. But we'll try and sort out that for you. So as always, there'll be a thread on Discord. If you're a YouTube member, head over when it's open and leave a question for a Newcastle fan. But we are definitely back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. for our match preview. We'll discuss who replaces Delap, who starts at home against Newcastle. Last home game before Christmas. Last game before Christmas, actually. I'm thinking about last home game. Last game. So I want to see some Grinch outfits in Portman Road stands this week. Grinch, Father Christmas. I want to see the lot. Come on, get the costumes out. It's the last game before Christmas. That's one thing NFL does really well. Fans in the stands, they always wear great costumes. Like
they play on Christmas Day, don't they? Sometimes NFL games.
There are games Christmas Day this year. Yeah. There was last year on Netflix.
Would you go on Christmas Day if Ipswich played at home on Christmas Day? Would you go?
I'm married with 2 kids. Do you think
exactly? This is why Boxing Day is better.
Boxing Day is hard enough. Got me permission slip signed for Boxing Day. Forget Christmas Day. She'd laugh me out of the house. I'll be sleeping in the garage with the budgies.
We haven't even got Boxing Day going because they moved it for TV, haven't they? Arsenal,
so
Sister Day.
So good. I got some brownie points this year with no Boxing Day game. It's like, excellent. But yeah, we're back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. This man here's the Mogul Mr. Phillips. I am the Gov. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all of that wonderful business. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hopefully, Palace are losing. Don't know yet. We'll find out in a second. But thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.